How are you holding up, bud?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
Recovery went well this last weekend?
I had a hell of a time at work the next day, but
It was tough, wasn't
yeah.
it?
Mhm.
Yeah, it was
But,
real tough.
okay, yeah, it was the heat more than anything else.
Oh, I
Other than
believe that. Yeah, sweating it out like that, no good. No good. It's always the the next morning shits for me that are always like real tough, you know. And I was on that toilet for a long time. I was on that toilet for a long time.
Mine was not fun.
Nah.
Not fun the next night.
Nah.
The next day.
But, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering what we're talking about, that's because we had a bonus celebratory episode 100 of the Two Penny Gamescast, the show you're watching right now. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host, Connor Elliott. Say hello to the people, Connor.
Hello.
Now, as I said before, we had a celebratory bonus episode 100 where me and Connor sat there for 2 hours just kind of shooting this shit about video games, having ourselves a swell old time, just chatting it up. We got into some debates. We got into some things that we're excited about. We got into some nice little gamer conversations. It was a good time. Go check that out. Yeah. Episode 100, Two Penny Gamescast, youtube.com/2pennygamescast, or mainstream podcast services of your choice, where you can find this show right here every Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time. But if just talking about video games isn't enough for you, you want to see some gamers have some real gaming moments? Well, ladies and gentlemen, hop over to twitch.tv/2pennygames, where we do live streams of random video games, but every Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central Time, me and my good buddy Phil, we sit down and we put on a little show called Hype. Have you ever played? HYEP, in which one of us shows the other a video game they've never played before. Last week, we wrapped up the Resident Evil 3 remake, and I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe Phil is having me play Spyro 3 Year of the Dragon this next week.
Okay. Back to the Spyro kick.
Back to the Spyro kick, I suppose. Is it any different? Are they switching it up, or is it the same old, same old? I'll have to find out. Twitch.tv/2pennygames, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central Time. Live on the YouTube channel right now, not only is our drunk debate over different video games like The Last of Us Part 2 and Mass Effect, but I was having a couple of drinks one night while I was playing Hades, and I beat Hades for the first time while a little intoxicated. So there's a little Let's Play video of that up right now. Stay tuned for any other little fun treats, little fun videos, youtube.com/2pennygamescast. That might be coming out later in this week. Now, Connor, if the people don't know, you and I, we sit down and we each bring to the table the new news in the video game industry. We each bring 2 topics, 2 pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. This week, Connor, very exciting news for you, my friend.
It was
very
a good
exciting
week.
News.
Very good week for me.
Very good week for you. Now, your first penny of the day here, in an interview with Miyazaki, the head FromSoftware dude who makes all the great he made the Elden Ring single-handedly.
Pretty well with George R.R. Martin's help, of course.
Oh, of course, with the right, yeah. Who could forget the
yeah.
George R.R. Martin?
I couldn't. I wouldn't forget that. But he's
in
working.
the news. He's
Yeah, I
talking to
know.
people.
He always seems to be,
He always seems to be.
or at least something related to him.
Miyazaki. So, in an interview with 4gamer.net, but it's all in Japanese, and we can't read Japanese, so Nibel over on Twitter, kind of broke it down for us a little bit. There is an unannounced project in its final stages of development. Miyazaki intends to continue to focus on directing games and is already working on his next game. Elden Ring will receive more updates. And then down below, Nibel goes on, one interesting tidbit is that Miyazaki is apparently interested in working on something that he describes as, quote, more abstract fantasy than the projects we've seen from so far, and how he has come up with a lot of ideas and images that don't fit their current games. Miyazaki also notes that FromSoftware is working on improving the compensation and treatment of its employees, and that they plan to increase the salaries of young to mid-career employees as well. He claims that the working environment has improved greatly in recent years. So, the big news, they got another something coming out.
Yes.
Another something. What do you think that is?
Well, we had gotten some leaks a little while back. A little while ago about them making an Armored Core game.
Yeah.
Kind of a co-op possibly being included.
Returning to the well.
Yeah, and it's not announced yet, so it would make sense that a game that apparently was pretty close to completion is paired with this story about there being some game that's almost done.
Unannounced project in the final stages of development. You don't think this is just an Elden Ring expansion?
No. It seems to be like when they say unannounced project, it seems to me more than just like DLC. It seems to me like another game. Now, I could be completely wrong, maybe, but I assumed that the Elden Ring will receive more updates was kind of the hint at that more than anything else.
Elden Ring's just been getting like free content, which they're like just getting like some extra quests and like bonus bosses or something. Like it's all just like a bunch of like small stuff, nothing huge.
Yeah, it was just like changes to the game, improvements like to the general game from what I heard. I don't think they added anything. Except like changes to the map. I saw that was being like one of the big changes, but yeah, they haven't really done anything with it yet, but they have said in the past that they want to do more with Elden Ring. So maybe it's time to start rolling it out. But
you don't think there's any way to be like unannounced project in its final stages of development, and then Miyazaki intends to focus on directing games and is already working on his next game. You're assuming those two statements are tied together?
Well, I kind of disregarded the second one. I was more saying that Elden Ring, before I was saying that Elden Ring receiving more updates was going to also translate into updates to the game itself, just, which could include DLC. And the other thing was possibly the Armored Core game, because, like I said, we know that's in the we believe that's in the works, and it would just make sense for that to be the next game, the next project that they're talking about. But I could be wrong. It could be. It's not exactly like hard pressed information.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see. You're more familiar with the FromSoftware release schedule than I am, but I would assume just a huge Elden Ring expansion of some kind, $20, $30, $40, who knows, like depending on how big they're going to go.
Yeah.
And then that's what they're getting. It's in the same wheelhouse, using the same systems. You don't have to build a whole lot.
Yeah, right.
It's just creating content on a foundation that's already been proven. And then the working on his next game, I would assume to also be the Armored Core game, and that's a few years away, I would assume. Let's see. Sekiro 2019, Elden Ring 2022. So yeah, what is that? 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah, but then you also had things like Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3, which came out right back to one another in years. It was 2 years. No, it was 2 years, but it was still pretty close.
Pretty
for
close.
Whole 2 games.
And then we've already been hearing about this Armored Core game, so anything is possible.
Yeah,
I would personally put my money on this new right about to hit. It's just an expansion for Elden Ring.
I would not mind that at all.
Maybe
going back.
Maybe Connor. Maybe stick with me here. Sekiro DLC.
No, wow. I think you're gonna say Bloodborne on PC.
No, not Blood. Good luck with that, getting that, ladies and gentlemen. But Connor, we're not finished with you, my friend. We're jumping right into your second penny of the day with our second topic. Final Fantasy people, they were going around talking. They were going running their mouths. They went to a whole bunch of different outlets and talked to a whole bunch of different people. We got a cool little sort of compilation of that in which, what is his name? Orpheus Joshua over at Noisy Pixel went ahead and bullet pointed all the news for us. So we're going to jump straight into that. With Game Informer, Yoshida shared... they say econs, which are the summons in Final Fantasy VI. It's your Infrits. It's your. What are the other ones? It's your Bafuts.
Ifrit, Bahamut, Shiva, Garuda,
all your big things.
Odin,
which, as we saw in the State of Play, are front and center this time. They're very, very important. There's whole game mechanics and game battles centered around them.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 16's big thing. I guess about
the icons.
Is that what they're called?
That's
icons?
what it said in the
Econs?
trailer.
Icons.
It's spelled weird though. EIKONS or something like that.
Yeah. So with Game Informer, Yoshida said econ bouts will be different each time. Pro wrestling match, 3D shooter, etc. That's interesting.
That is very interesting.
New trailer coming fall 2022 with lore and story focus. Okay, sure, whatever. I'd rather just wait for the game for that. In an interview with IGN, Clive, who is your main character, will have one or two more companions for combat and banter, though they'll be AI driven. So much like in your Final Fantasy 15, your Final Fantasy 7 remake, with your characters talking to each other back and forth, stuff like 16 is its own entity, separate from 14 and the other games in the series, so you won't find as many tributes as you will in 14. It will, and this is the big one for me. It will not be open world, with a focus on independent, area-based game design that can give players a better feel of truly global scale. So a little bit different from some Final Fantasy games of the past. Granted, Final Fantasy VII Remake was a fairly linear game with some open-ish segments. This seems to expand on that idea. But for the most part, it's going to be once you're done in an area, you won't really be coming back to that area.
You see, that's one of the interesting things, because the first time they actually played around with that was 15. 15, it didn't do it very well, though, when I played it on
15
initial
is
release.
actually open world, is it not?
No, because what it does is it brands itself as open world, and it's open world, but a point in the story comes, it's like, hey, you won't be able to go back to this open world for a while. And I was like, okay, I'll just go back to it. And I go to a whole other area, and from that point forward, it's just story zone after story zone for the rest of the game. Like, that open world segment of, like, driving around, having fun, just ends at a certain point. And then it just randomly kind of, almost to me, transitions over to this more, focused area and stuff.
Fantasy.
Yeah, it didn't do it all that well, so I'm happy that right out the gate, they're just gonna just say, okay, yeah, it's zones. That's what we're going for.
We didn't do that. No. that was not our strength.
No.
Let's do what we do normally. Okay. And then in a PlayStation, game is fully playable from beginning to end, though voiceovers in several languages are remaining. Bahamut is a big part of the story and is Yoshida's favorite FF summon.
Odin's mine. The guy on the horse.
Fucking cool. I don't know, man. I got Infrit, I got Shiva. That's all I got. That's
the guy
all
on
I
the
got.
horse.
And then the dragons are Bahamut, right?
Bahamut, yeah.
Bahamut, or the dragon. And then there's a different dragon, but also called Bahamut, but like a bigger Bahamut. He's called Daddy Bahamut or something like that.
Neo Bahamut.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, that's what it was. I forgot about that.
Anyways, Connor, any of this doing it for you? Oh, they also go on to mention that like Kingdom Hearts team is helpful. This is a culmination of the company's past experience. Yada yada, all that hype buzzword talk of this is the grandest thing we've ever made, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How does this read to you for Final Fantasy 16?
Well, from the get-go, I've always been kind of in love with this whole idea of going back to the more darker medieval fantasy that it drifted away from, because I always liked this setting.
Also worth noting that it's going to be a mature title.
Yes, which I can't remember what was 7 Remake mature?
No.
No, that was just T as well.
Yeah.
They haven't really done mature Final Fantasies except for Stranger of Paradise. But every bit of news I get intrigues me more, because I do like the sense of the whole open world being in zones. It's nice that we're like right from the get-go, we're stuck with an idea of where you're going to be at a point in the story, give you freedom to act in that region, but then move on to the next thing, because it could kind of break the game depending on what kind of game is being made if you go back to areas that you shouldn't be able to go back to.
We're going to give you that freedom, that exploration that you want, but we're going to be able to keep our pace, keep our structure, keep our focus on whatever we're doing in the moment.
Which it just sounds like a good idea to me. I don't see why you wouldn't do that.
In a narrative-based game like a Final Fantasy, I'm totally into that. And then, you look around at different examples, the worst parts of Naughty Dog games are the open parts. Arguably, I enjoyed the one in Last of Us Part 2, but I'll be damned if it doesn't fucking kill the pacing of that game.
Yeah. It doesn't fit those games.
Yeah. It just, do what you do best. And if this is where you feel like you're getting a grip, you're getting your foothold. Yeah. Let's keep to that idea.
Yeah. And I like how they the other thing that I actually was pretty interested in was they had described it as kind of being like a almost similar to a live action movie, a roller coaster of just, barreling events, and compounded with the fact that I've heard that the protagonist is going to go through different stages of his lives, like his teens, his 20s, and his 30s.
Yeah.
And so it's actually going to be done over a long period of time. So with that combined with the M rating, I think they're going to do some pretty interesting things that Final Fantasy hasn't done before. So I'm very excited for it, and it just makes me more excited. These kind of interviews.
I'm quite interested. As someone who's jumped on board with 7 Remake, seeing all the different things that they're pulling from that, and then where we're going from there, and then the fact that this is just fresh and new and doesn't have, the weight of being, 7's remake with all those expectations and grandiose ideas that the fan base put onto that. And then it's not 15, which had a troubled development and, a hellish marketing scheme in which you had to go watch a movie and read a comic book and fucking do all this extra shit just to play the video game. Yeah, I'm excited to just hop in, play a game, and see what story they have to tell for me here. This little bit about how every summon bout will be different. Every icon bout will be different. Pro wrestling match, 3D shooter, etc. So in the trailer, they just kind of showed it's just a big fucking tussle between the two for that one. The other different gameplay ideas being centered around there. How do you feel about that?
I love it. I do love it. I remember going when I was actually reading the intense details of the interviews. One of the things on the Square Enix side, I believe, they covered was that they limited the HUD when they showed the trailer recently at the Summer Games Fest. So even though we saw the health bars, which means it was in game, they covered up a bunch of other different things. So obviously that was a good idea. But I do want to see how that exactly looks, because now with this, that they're doing all these different ways you can fight between icons.
Yeah.
It sounds great, and it looks impressive to make me think that it'll be good.
It could so quickly be convoluted and confusing, or,
gimmicky as well.
Gimmicky, and you feel like you're just kind of doing like a QTE event every time as a cutscene plays out, whichever way it needs to play out. Is it going to give us the agency we want, but not frustrate us with changes in controls and so forth like that? I don't know.
I don't know either.
We'll have to wait and see. But, interesting idea. I hope it plays out for them. Speaking of hoping it plays out for him, Connor, let's move on to topic number 3, my first penny of the day. So Overwatch 2 is going to replace the first at launch. We got a IGN article from Ryan Leston. It's official. Overwatch 2 will fully replace the original Overwatch at launch. During a Reddit AMA, Overwatch 2 director Aaron Keller confirmed that the upcoming Overwatch sequel will replace the original live service when the game launches in October. Quote, when OW2 launches on October 4th, it will be a replacement for the current live service, he confirmed. In other words, the original Overwatch will no longer be playable once the new game releases. Instead, players who try to play Overwatch will be prompted to update to Overwatch 2. Blizzard is pursuing this model in order to retain a unified player base. When the sequel was originally announced back in August last year, Blizzard claimed that Overwatch and Overwatch 2 players would be able to play side by side when playing the same game modes. The original plan allowed Overwatch players to play on brand new Overwatch 2 maps and as the new heroes. Then game director Jeff Kaplan said it was a shared multiplayer environment where no one gets left behind. In other words, multiplayer PvP would have been possible across the two titles. Now, it looks as though Overwatch will in fact be left behind. Overwatch will essentially roll right into Overwatch 2, which was already planned to retain old legacy content while adding new maps and systems. The fact that Overwatch 2 will be free to play means this should be an easy enough transition since no players need to pay for the game. Article then goes on to say that this is mainly due to the fact that Overwatch 2 is a 5v5 game and Overwatch 1 was a 6v6. Yeah, I think this makes sense. I don't think this was at all part of the original plan. I think Blizzard absolutely wanted to charge you $60, $70 for a full game. And then, through a series of events that have happened so forth, development troubles, or maybe, just the game going in a different direction, or the fact that their loot boxes make them so much money that they're like, no, fuck it, don't divide the player base. Here, just put up a splash page to the download screen for Overwatch 2, make it free to play. No one's going to complain.
Now, I'm completely unsure about this, but have also the player counts for Overwatch gone down? I know, obviously.
Oh, I'm sure.
But by any substantial amount, I'm curious, because it would also make sense, because if that was happening, then, offering a free update to Overwatch 2, effectively, would make people come back to it to a degree.
Well, I also think they looked at successes like Fortnite. And when Fortnite launched Chapter 2, Chapter 3, we saw huge spikes in that. Whenever they do their big crossover events or big live events or whatever, you see huge spikes and, Fortnite starts dominating headlines again. And I'm sure they looked at that and said, how can we incorporate that? okay, yeah, let's just call it, let's say we're making a new game, Overwatch 2. Let's just have a huge content dump of a bunch of maps and a couple of heroes and new modes and a PvE mode and all of that. And call it a sequel when really it is really just the first game again, but just, heavily modified.
Yeah.
In very specific ways. Yeah, this is kind of what we expected when they announced this when they announced the sequel. It's just I don't believe this was the plan the whole time.
No, of course not. Was not. No. Yeah, no. And every single time they talked about it, they never seemed to indicate that it was going to be free or it was going to be just a update from the old game.
I was going to say that's a recent thing that we've gotten in the last few months, that it's going to be free.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, cool for Overwatch players. Like, how do you think that plays out? You load up Overwatch on your PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, your PC, and it just says, "Hey, Overwatch 1 is closed down. Go to the store," and then they can just give you a link and you go to the store. Probably.
Yeah.
You would assume.
I would think so.
Or does it just update and you're just now Overwatch 2? Like they through the update process delete Overwatch 1 and give you Overwatch 2, and you're sitting there scratching your head like, oh, why did it change?
You know what? When you say those options how they could do it, I think it's the former. I think that probably would be the obvious.
They give you a splash screen and say, hey, go here. Yeah. I think so as well. I think it'd be easiest in terms of cross-platform, being able to get players to jump onto the new shit. And it forces everyone to go, as opposed to somebody being like, no, I don't want to, and they're not turning their consoles off, so the thing never updates. So there's a contingent of a small contingency of fans who are keeping the first game alive, this, that, and the third. No, kill it, let it go.
Right.
Let the past die. All right, neat.
Yeah,
cool. Overwatch 2 continues to just be more Overwatch in my brain.
I've logged off.
Yeah. I've been done for a long time. I found side note, on PlayStation 5, I found where you can see your hours played per game. None of it's accurate, or some of it is accurate, but a lot of it's not. It's trying to tell me I've logged 400 hours into the Legacy of Thieves collection of Uncharted. That's not even fucking possible.
Yeah.
I think even if you add up all of my time across those titles on the PS4 versions, that doesn't even really make sense.
Does it include Winston Rust mode? Possibly.
Maybe. I don't know. There's so much of it that's not accurate though. Doom on PS4 has 4 different entries.
Yeah. Oh.
Why? Is it because I've installed it on 4 different PlayStation 4, installed and played it on 4 different PlayStation 4s? What is the story there?
Did you?
I don't know. Maybe. It tried to tell me I had 1,000 hours logged into Overwatch.
We played a lot on Overwatch.
We played a lot. I don't think I played 1,000 hours worth of Overwatch.
I don't think so.
No. I played a good amount. I
don't think
definitely
so.
a couple of hundred, but 1,000?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm breaking 500 hours in that. But it is what it is. Connor, moving on to our final topic of the day. Something a little fun for I think both of us. A Plague Tale Requiem had an extended gameplay trailer drop, and at the end, they gave us a release date for October 15th, I believe. Let me find it. 18th, excuse me. October 18th. And yeah, so you and I, right before the show, just kind of, watched it, gave, got our impressions, and I watched it before you got here. You watched it on your phone, right before we started. What did you think?
I thought it looked pretty good. I have always mentioned this whenever this game comes up. I never played the first game.
Me neither.
And
bought it though. Just never got around to it.
Oh, you never.
I think I bought it. I think I own it. I just never got around to it.
Yeah, so I don't. Comparing the game, the gameplay systems of that first game to this one, I will not do because I cannot do. Right. I don't know what they've changed.
Oh, there's so much more emphasis on combat this time around. There's little to none in the first game. It's just throwing bodies around and letting the rats eat and then figuring out puzzles in the environment and so forth. This is way more dynamic.
Yeah, but even despite that, one of the things that caught my eye about this game when I was watching it is it doesn't seem like you can really kill all the enemies at any given time, because it seemed like later when she assassinated someone from behind, as you maybe seen later in the trailer, in the gameplay bit, even though this isn't it, at one point she takes out a guy, but she's too tired to do anything. At least it seems like that's how it played off. It didn't seem like it was a scripted moment, which I guess it could have been, but it didn't look like it. So it seemed like she couldn't do anything really super physical after that point, which would imply that you have to be a little bit more tactful with how you go through an area rather than just, slaughtering all the enemies in your way and then going on peacefully, which is what a lot of other stealth games that I've seen in the past do. So that was one of the things that really intrigued me about this game.
There was a couple of lines that's an interesting idea, is that like the character's going to get more tired, so maybe she can only take out 3 or 4 guys, and then maybe she like goes to take out the 5th and succeeds, but takes some damage in a pre-rendered animation or something. That's interesting. I didn't read that at all. I read it as a very simple, everything is pretty by the books in terms of stealth takedowns and so forth. I liked what I saw here.
Yeah.
Heavy, I think, Last of Us 2 influences, and I think some pretty subtle Dishonored influences here. There was something that was the characters mentioned when they were talking to each other about actions taken in a previous level or a previous fight, where the kid in the trailer goes, "Hey, did you really kill that? They're really mad. Did you really kill that many?" And she went, "I definitely killed too much, or I did too much," something like that. So I'm saying, I'm like, is there? Do you just not have to, like, if you don't kill in a previous level, which may make it harder to get through it, but it might make later levels easier because you're not pissing off the guards, so they're not showing up with more reinforcements later on. Like, how is that working, and how does that play into narrative? Because them being cornered and forced to do something desperate is essential to this gameplay event. Granted, that could happen at any time because it happens because of a cutscene, because of a scripted wound that the main character takes.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see if that's part of it, in which case, heavy Dishonored vibes there, which I love, and Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain, a little bit. But yeah, clearly I think this is taking a lot of its main influences from The Last of Us, specifically Part 2. Which I think is really cool, really, really solid. In terms of the stealth mechanics and gameplay, a lot of it seems pretty simple. Throw a rock, throw a flame thing. They're burning to death. No one knows what's happening. They're just kind of like on guard or whatever.
You got your see-through walls ability where you can track for a little bit.
Which is neat. I'm already seeing the AI pathing in their environments and stuff. Granted, smaller team, the game looks really good. Yeah. But smaller team, clearly, as opposed to some of the more big AAA releases like The Last of Us, like Deathloop and so forth, even though Deathloop also suffered from AI pathing and so forth. But it kind of had to because of the structure of that game.
Yeah. I love the setting. It looks very nice. This kind of Mediterranean setting. I don't know why they're here, but
looks beautiful.
I'm on full board for it.
I'm also assuming we're going to see a bunch of different environments, and this is just one of them. And I think it looks great. I like the protecting the kid thing. It feels very Resident Evil 4. I'm very interested to see if we can let the kid go and be like, hey, stay here, and then there's a risk reward of being more agile out in the field and being able to do more without it. But now the kid is in danger and maybe you can't help them out immediately or something like that. I don't know. I'm guessing.
Yeah. That'd be interesting because they could just they can force you, like you said, and now you have 2 lives to worry about, and if you lose one, your entire thing's gone.
Yeah. But I'm assuming it's going to be the more simple answer, to where it's just this in scripted segments, and then maybe there's scripted segments where you're alone. Maybe the kid is or is not ever in any real danger. It's just, something that's alongside with you, like Last of Us, like God of War 2018. Yeah, and then the kid, you not being the one with the special abilities, I think is interesting.
Yeah.
And there seemed to be a punishment for using his abilities too much. So I'm very curious to see if, alongside maybe homegirl here gets tired the more she fights in battles and stuff. I wonder if those are both that kind of counts for both of them. Is the more he uses his powers, the more chances he has of getting sick or hurting himself or killing himself by accident or so on and so forth. But overall, I think in terms of structure in enemy encounters, this seems pretty by the books. Yeah. In terms of stealth games, reminds me a lot of the indie game Styx. Remember Styx on PlayStation 4, where you played a little goblin guy? Reminds me a lot of that. obviously more advanced, obviously more fidelity going on here. So yeah, I'm interested. On my radar. Game Pass, so I'm into it. But I might just. This is for everything, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Um.
PS5, it should be.
Yeah. If reviews come out and they're all like, "Hey man, this game's great," I might like get it on PS5. Yeah, it is on PS5. I might get it on PS5 for trophies because you guys, you know me, I'm a whore. But yeah, They're showing at the Xbox showcase was more impressive to me than this was.
Yeah.
But I think that's because the trailer was heavily edited, like it had more going on, showed more environments, you know, and focused more on its cinematic moments as opposed to just its raw gameplay moments. We got some raw gameplay here, probably more engaging with hands on the sticks, but in terms of watching it, it seems okay. I don't want to say it like reset my expectations, but it did draw me back a little bit. You know, I'm not getting The Last of Us 2 out of this. I'm not getting Dishonored out of this. I'm getting something smaller, which is fine. That's all it needs to be. And especially because it's on Game Pass, and especially because it's this team's first real venture into stealth combat as opposed to just stealth or just puzzles. You know, now we're doing combat, which is a whole list of other things, and they seem to be playing around with some ideas other than just kill or knock out enemies. Like it seems to be affecting the plot.
Yeah.
Which is something that I'm always a sucker for. You know, it's something I wish Last of Us 2 did, where like if you killed less, people reacted like you weren't a mass murderer, but whether you killed or not, people reacted like Ellie was a mass murderer. It's what I think makes games like Dishonored 1 so special.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm interested. I'm excited. This game's right up my alley in terms of like a third-person action narrative adventure game with stealth mechanics and you know characters getting to know each other and so forth. Oh, she gets real bloody.
Yeah.
Anyways, looks great. Looks beautiful. Looks fun enough. Looks good enough.
Yeah. Hope it's not too long of a game. Hope it's like the other one, which I heard was pretty short.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I think the first one was like 6 to 8. I'm hoping for an 8 to 12, somewhere around there. Because I don't see it like, I don't see these mechanics like overdoing it for me. But there is like the scavenging aspect where she's picking up materials and stuff. So maybe this is only part way through the game. You know, maybe the kid's powers advance and you get a whole bunch of more stuff going on. I don't know. Multiple endings. Who knows? I'm taking pot shots at, you know, ideas that I think are being presented to me, but are not being confirmed to me. So I don't know. I'm going to play it, though.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning to playing it now.
Very nice.
Kind of sold me on it.
Connor, that is it for the news this week.
News.
So let's go ahead and jump into what we've been playing. My friend, update me on what you've been playing.
Well, I've continued my Stranger of Paradise journey.
Yeah?
I was going to originally take a break from it, but I realized if I take a break, it's going to be hard to go back to it later on.
Yeah.
So I got to go through it before I play Catherine, which I did end up buying. So
nice.
Eventually that will be one of the next ones I play. Got it at a very nice price too. Very satisfied. Very good timing.
How much was it?
For the what was it? What was it?
Full body edition, I assume.
Yeah, $12.
Oh, that's great.
From 50. Yeah, so
that's great.
Pretty good deal.
Yeah.
But Stranger of Paradise, keep on loving it. Story, man, woo.
Some bullshit.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I'm not gonna. Like
I am. Yeah. No, you will not. But it's such a small part basically of the game. Like it doesn't drag it down. It's more just comes in. You're like, that's fucking weird, and then you kind of go on. You do the fun gameplay bits. But loving that still.
Like, but I got a new skill point, so it's okay.
Now you can get the cool I can do like the bob and weave move now with my fists. So I'm satisfied.
Very nice. All right. So Connor, in the last episode, which came out Friday, I talked to you about a little game that hit my radar called Undetected.
Yeah.
That said it was coming to Switch, but it's actually coming to everything. Well, I did some more digging. Turns out they had a demo.
Oh.
So I played that demo. Took me about 26 minutes to play. It was just a quick little like outside stealth segment and so forth, sneaking through. If you missed last episode, Undetected is a Metal Gear Solid inspired top-down asymmetric stealth game. Very, very Metal Gear Solid inspired. You know, enemies with limited points of view. You're running around, you're doing your little combat rolls, you're hiding in grass.
Very MGS.
Very, very MGS. This is okay.
Oh, really?
It's okay. It's pretty stiff. And instead of like item management, the way Metal Gear does it, you have like your base type gun, which is just like rubber bullets that don't affect enemies at all. It's meant for just, creating noise and turning off light switches and so forth. Instead of enemies having coned vision, it's a little more line of sight. And basically you are either visible or not, dependent upon if you're in light. So turning lights out is a big, big thing. If you're in the dark, you're basically invisible. Like, you can run circles around these guys; they'll never know. It doesn't feel perfect. Like it's that weird indie game feel where like you're a little too floaty but a little too stiff at the same time. And I just don't think they quite nailed the feel of what we're going for here. Because you so clearly want to be Metal Gear Solid, but you're not doing enough to be Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
It's
just the style of the game where it kind of begins and ends. As far as feeling like it.
And funny enough, it actually clearly it takes inspirations from the entire franchise, but I think it's also taking a lot of inspirations from those first two MSX games. Which is okay. It's a choice to be made for sure. And the systems that they've introduced here in this first demo, I was like, okay, cool, but you're seeing me here like just unload into a guy with the rubber bullets, and it's just not doing anything.
Yeah,
so I'm just getting lit up. Very unforgiving. You die very fast.
Yeah,
very fast. And basically once you get caught, you have like the option to use specific items that you can pick up along the way, which are one-time use items to get to lose them, but you die so fast to where I was just like, you know what? Let me just die. Let me just reset this screen or whatever. They also do the thing which I think is an issue, in which if you get detected and then just run off screen to the other environment or something, they just completely forget about you.
No, really?
Nobody's following you through environments or anything. Like, it's just very simple. Like, oh, I got caught. Let me run back. Okay, now I've reset the encounter. Like, let's progress forward. Or it's, oh, I got caught. I'm in the middle of everything. All right, I'm just gonna die and just gonna progress forward. Not seeing any ways to like really kill enemies. Like, you can give them the quick 1-2 punch kick. But again, unlike Metal Gear, where like the punches like added, like if you just hit them with the kick, that doesn't knock them out. That's not the case here. The kick is the only thing that matters here. Like, just get the kick off. There was one enemy where like I missed my 2 punches, but I got the kick off, so he got knocked out. And I was like, oh, the punches don't matter. The punches are just cosmetic flair. I never used the dodge move until really the end. They've got this like weird scouting thing where like instead of using the Soliton radar system like Metal Gear Solid does, where it just puts the radar in the top of the screen and you find yourself looking at that the whole time. If you're staying still, you can enter scout mode, in which the character crouches, and you get this sort of, if you're watching the video section, you see it where like everything kind of becomes holographic and you see like a real-time top-down thing of the surrounding areas to kind of get your bearings that way. Not a bad idea. I just don't think it was implemented well, or at least not well in this level specifically, where like I just didn't find that much use for it.
So kind of the game's been kind of not one you're going to probably buy at this rate now.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
If it's on Game Pass, I'll go Game Pass, but other than that, no, it's just not quite giving me what I need here. Yeah. And maybe they just chose a bad level. You know, it's an indie dev team, it's a small team, and you know they want to drum up excitement, so they put out a demo and so forth, and probably worked really hard to get this demo functioning and working. It wasn't scratching the itches that I like.
Yeah.
From the games that clearly inspired it, and I was just kind of hoping for a little
Right.
more here. But at the same time, I was hoping for the 1998 experience again. I didn't get that here. I got the, hey, we like Metal Gear. Here's our take on it here, which is fine. But I like, you so very clearly are drawing from Metal Gear that I'm like, oh, you're Metal Gear. Oh no, you're not Metal Gear. Like,
yeah.
like even the way he presses up against the wall, that's literally how Snake does it. Like, but that's fine. Undetected, yeah, I thought it was fine. Worth, if you're into games like this, like me, definitely give it a shot, give it a try. I also don't think the tutorialization in this demo was all that great, because you've got limited healing items, and you have like a risk reward to where like you can either use a healing item to heal yourself, or you can use one to put on armor and protect yourself from gunshots, I guess, or maybe it's like a damage buff or something. Again, I'm not quite sure how it works. But the armor doesn't last once you go into another area.
Yeah.
So I turned it on, went into the next area, and I didn't have it anymore. And I was like, and I wasted my healing item on that. There's a slowdown mechanic when you go into first person and aim. I don't quite understand the point of that. Just did not seem to add to the experience at all. If you were watching the video right there, I ran into a corner and got bumped into a wall because like it looked like I could pass through some trees, but I couldn't.
Like
it was not clear that was not a passable environment to me. Maybe I was just reading the room wrong. But yeah, again, like, I didn't feel like it was a focus around me outsmarting and outwitting enemies. It felt like, okay, let me learn the enemy pathing. Let me find out when they're not looking at the light switch so I can turn the light switch off so that I can just actually get through the area and do whatever I need to do. How can I manipulate this AI in a very specific way to do what I very specifically need to do to move on? Like, it just, you got too many restrictions going on here, and I just, overall, I felt like, maybe my expectations were in the wrong place, but like at the end of the day, like, you didn't feel good to play either. Like, again, like the character moving through the environment did not feel right. I felt like he needs to be a little bit faster, a little bit lighter on his feet, especially with how little damage he takes. When I did need to actually engage with an enemy combatant, like, it felt too, like, I felt like aiming myself was too hard. Like, it needed to be easier to land my punch-punch-kick combo than it is. And then the, like, shooting a wall to make noise thing just felt more gimmicky, and it didn't work all the time the way that I wanted it to. And, like, the AI is dumb. Like, they just walk up to the noise and they look at the wall for a few seconds, and you either choose to beat them up or just run past them. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I don't feel creative like doing this. Like, you're making me feel like I'm doing a math problem in a bad way. So yeah, Undetected caught my interest, but I don't know if I'm going to engage in it. But when it fully comes out, I'll see what the response is and how people feel about it. Anyways, that's really all I've been playing. I had wanted to get to the Fire Emblem Three Hopes demo, but I just ran out of time, with work and with some other stuff that I was doing. So I didn't get to that this week, so I hope to have some impressions on Fire Emblem Three Hopes next week.
And
then game releases are coming, Connor. They're on their way. We gotta get ready. We gotta get ready for that Stray. You ready for that Stray, Connor? You ready to play?
I don't know if I'll play Stray.
You're not gonna play Stray, Connor? You don't want to play as the fucking cat?
Well, it's a nice cat. He's a nice cat.
It's a very nice cat.
Maybe if I'm, entitled, if I'm interested in it. I was gonna use a more intelligent word, but maybe.
I'm gonna play Stray. But yeah, I also want to see how I feel about Three Hopes. Other than that, the other games that I had installed that I haven't gotten any of those either, being Neon White. Connor, install Neon White. Let's compete in some Neon White. Also, you don't have Game Pass.
But I bought it.
You got Game Pass?
No, I just got Neon White.
You got Neon White. There we go. Well, I did too because it's not on Game Pass. But I was going to talk about TMNT Shredder's Revenge, which I want to play, but I want to play with friends. If you had Game Pass, Connor, we could play together.
Yeah.
I think we can still play together. You just got to get on, I don't know,
whatever device.
something compatible. We do some Google searches for that. I'll hit up Phil and be like, hey, man, I want to play Shredder's Revenge. Come play this beat 'em up with me and see how he feels about that. But that's all for next week. Until next week, though, ladies and gentlemen, that has been episode 101 of the Two Penny Gamescast. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Remember, you can catch us every Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/2pennygamescast, or mainstream podcast services of your choice, twitch.tv/2pennygames to see some real gamers have real gamer moments. But until next week, have a great week. The government should stay out of our bodies.
Yeah. We didn't mention anything about that at the beginning of the show.
It's either a fucking right. We either have a right for privacy or we don't. You fucking hypocritical dickheads.
Keep it yourself. That's all you got to do. Don't even get involved in other people's business.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yes. But also, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.